Okay, today we're going to do the introductory shiur to the mitzvah of Shtei Halechem. The mitzvah of Shtei Halechem is special for Shavuos, so we're actually be learning this before Shavuos, so it's good preparation, but it's a mitzvah of the Torah no matter what. Okay, so let's get into the sources. We're going to be looking at Perek Yud Gimel of Vayikra, Psukim Tesvav through Chaf Aleph. So let's see what the Psukim are. So it says, L'sfartim l'chami rachas HaShabbos, Miyom Haviachem, it's Omer Tnufa Shasos Tmos Tiena. So from the day which you bring the Korban Omer, okay, so that's like an offering of wheat. So that the day after Pesach, so it's the second day of Pesach, you count 7 weeks, complete weeks. Tmios. You have to count until the day after the 7th week, so you're counting 50 days, and then you bring another offering. You bring another korban, mincha chadasha laHashem. You bring another mincha, another offering. So you bring from where you live. So this is talking about Eretz Yisrael. You bring 2 loaves of bread, and they act as that's the offering. Okay. Each is made of a certain amount of flour, Shnei Esronim, okay, and it's baked to be chametz, and that they are it's a bikurim Hashem. These are bikurim to Hashem. Bikravtem halechem shivas kvasim t'miyim b'nei shana upar ben bakar echad v'elim shnayim yeh ola l'Hashem u'mincha v'niskehem isha reach nichoch l'Hashem. So with the bread that you bring as the korban here, or the mincha. So comes more korbanos of like animals. So you have 7 kvasim. Okay, so that's without any. They're not allowed to have any movement, any blemishes. They have to be 1 year old. Okay, par ben bakar echad. So you have 1 bull, 2 rams, along with their menachos and their the wine that you pour on, the misachim. Okay, and that is a reach nichach to Hashem. So you offer 1 goat as a korban chatas, and 2 lambs as a shlamim. Okay, so the kohen lifts and waves them. Okay, so he brings them both with the bread of the bikurim, like these loaves. As a korban to Hashem, they are kadosh to the Kohen. Okay, to Hashem and to the Kohen. Okay, we call this a mikra kodesh. You can't do any work on this day. This is a law for forever. Okay, this is a law forever. The Rashbam explains mincha chadasha. What is a mincha chadasha? Lahatir chadash b'mikdash. So this korban that we give on Shavuos, the Shtei Halechem, allows for chadash to be eaten. We'll explain what that means in the mikdash. Yehuzman bishul tevua, because that's the time when the produce is ready. Okay, so let's look at the Gemara here on Mem Hey Amud Beis. Let's put it up here. Okay, so this is the Gemara on Mem Hey Amud Beis. We're actually going to start with the Mishna. Okay, and so the Mishna says as follows. Right? So we had seen that we bring the 2 Shtei Halechem, and along with the Shtei Halechem comes a bunch of animal korbanos. Okay, so we see that that if you don't bring the bull, the ram, and the sheep, okay, and the goat, so that doesn't prevent you. It's not ma'akev the lechem. You can bring the lechem even without bringing them. V'lo halechem ma'akvem. Okay, so the animals, the lechem can be brought without them, and the 2, not bringing the loaves doesn't prevent you bringing the animals. You can also bring the animals. Halechem ma'akvim es hakvasim, ve'ein hakvasim ma'akvim es halechem divrei Kiva. Kiva says, though, that the 2 loaves are ma'akev the animals. Okay, so if you don't have the loaves, so then you can't bring the animals, but if you don't bring the animals, that doesn't prevent you from bringing the loaves of bread, that you can. Okay, Amar Rabbi Shimon ben Nanos, lo, Okay, so no, he says the exact opposite. If you don't have the lambs, you can't bring the bread. Okay, but if you don't have the bread, that doesn't prevent you from bringing the animals. Right, so we saw that when the Bnei Israel were in the desert, they brought the animals and they had no bread. They didn't have bread. Afkan yikruvu kvasim below lechem. So to here, you can bring the animals without the bread. Okay. Amar Rabbi Shimon halacha kedivrei ben nanas aval ein atam gevar. So Rabbi Shimon says that the halacha is like ben nanas. Okay, that if you don't bring the sheep, so that doesn't allow you to bring the bread. Okay, but not bringing the bread doesn't prevent you from bringing the sheep. Okay, but his reasoning about this whole thing in the midbar, that's not the Shimon says that's not the real reason. Because you have to bring all the animals and all the bread. Okay, you have to bring them all, and the Jewish people brought them in the midbar. But all the korbanos that are stated in Vayikra, okay, that come with the Shtei Halechem, those were not offered when the Jews were in the desert. It was only when they got into Eretz Yisrael that those additional animals were brought with the Shtei Halechem. Okay, so the Bnei Ma'ani Omer Yikruvu Kvasim Below Lechem, right? So then why is it that we say that you should bring the animals without the lechem? Okay, because the lamb, right? You can eat the meat of the lamb just by giving the korban. The korban, by giving it as a korban, it matirs, it gives you license to eat the meat. Okay, but if you offer the bread without the meat, there's nothing that allows you to eat the bread. The bread cannot matir itself. Okay, that's what this Mishna and this Gemara say. And you have a nice machlokas. Well, we want to know exactly. Our questions are what is this Shtei Halechem? Right. That's our first question. What is the nature of this mitzvah of bringing the Shtei Halechem? Okay, what role do these lambs play? And what's this machlokas that we find in the Mishnah and the Gemara about all these different things? Okay, about which is ma'akev and which is not ma'akev. Okay, so then we have a Gemara here that says as follows: Halacha ma'akev esakvasim. Okay, so the Rabbi Kiva held, right, that the lechem, if you don't have the lechem, you can't bring the lamb. So my time at Rabbi Kiva. So why does Rabbi Kiva hold that? Gemara yu mitiena. So you see that when it talks about tiena, that they should be without mum, it says it by the lambs, and it says it by the Shtei Halechem. So since it describes both at the same way, tiena, so then we say that they're connected, and they're connected to the point malahalan lechem afkan lechem. Then both require lechem to be given, and you can't give the rest without the lechem. Okay. The Ramban says as follows: Shtei hachalos ma'akvos zeh. The two loaves of bread. Now you have to have two. They both are ma'akev. If you only have one, then you can't bring the other. Ushnei hakvasim ma'akvos zeh. And the two lambs are ma'akev them each other. Meis echad mishneim. Let's say one of them dies, or barach, or runs away, or he becomes a treifa, like it's going to die during the year. Yikach zug u'sheni. You just bring another one. Shachat echad l'shmo yikach lo zug. If you already shechted one l'shmo, so then you bring another one. Okay, the pasuk says lechem kali v'karmel lo tochelu. Right, so all these different types of grains you're not allowed to eat. Ad etzam hayom hazeh ad hivenu es korban elhechem chukas olam dorasechem b'chol moshe v'sechem. So you're not allowed to eat all new wheat, all new flour until you bring the Shtei Halechem. Okay, what does that mean? So the Rambam explains here kol yisurim sharmanu. So all the different things b'nefesh chaya that the Rambam had been talking about previous to this halacha. We didn't see it, but previous to this halacha, he's talking about all the non-kosher animals that you can't eat. He says, there's other things you're not allowed to eat that are forbidden by the Torah, but zera haaretz, that are grown from the ground. Okay, so you never heard of a non-kosher vegetable, but there's such a thing as something grown from the ground that you're not allowed to eat. V'hein, what are they? Chadash, klei hakeren, v'ateva v'orla. So what interests us from the list is chadash. Okay, something called chadash. What is chadash? So good thing the Rambam asks, chadash ketzad, what is chadash? So kol echad mechamisha minei tvua. There's 5 different types of grain. So when they grow from the fields, okay, you're not allowed to eat of those things until the korban omer. Sorry, lechem v'kali v'karmel lo talchelu. Okay, so it says that you're not allowed to eat it until this korban omer is given on the second day of Pesach. So if you grow stuff in August, you've got to hold on to that produce all the way until the second day of Pesach. That's the earliest that you can bring it. Okay, so now let's say you eat just an olive's worth of chadash before that. Before you give the korban omer, loka min Torah, you get malchus b'chol makom b'chol zman. Bein ba'aretz, bein b'chutz aretz. Doesn't make a difference in Eretz Yisrael, outside of Eretz Yisrael. Bein mifnei abayis, bein shlof abayis, when the Beis Hamikdash is around. Chadash is also at all times. Elash b'zman sheyesh mikdash, but rather, what's the difference? At the time that there is a mikdash, right? Then mishiyakiv haomer hutar hachadash b'Yerushalayim. So then the omer was allowed in Yerushalayim. V'makomos harchokim mutarim achar chatzos. Now let's say you were in the Beis Hamikdash, you're up in Tzfat, and you didn't know when the chadash would be mutter, so you could assume that by midnight they had already offered the korban. It's given at the second night of Pesach, like when we start counting Sfiras Omer. So that's when the korban is given, and you could assume that it was given on time, okay, by midnight, because they were generally lazy by this. So then you could start eating your chadash wheat. Right, so kol yom kulo aser min haTorah. And this time there's no Beis Hamikdash, so it's aser the entire day. It was manazeh makom shosin shtei yomim tovim hachadash aser kol yom yudzayin b'Nisan ad le'er midvrei sofrim. So the Rambam says that any place that does 2 days of Yom Tov, like in Chutz La'aretz, so then you have to wait to the end of the third day. The end of the second day before you're allowed to eat chadash. Okay, and the Gemara says like this. Gemara here in source number 9. Mishikarava Omer Hutter Chadash Miyad. So once the Omer was given, Chadash is allowed immediately. The mitzvah. Mitzvah Omer Hayamatir Medina Shtei Halechem Mikdash. So the Omer was allowed. It gave license to eat the Chadash in the country. Shtei Halechem Mikdash, and Shtei Halechem allowed Chadash to be used later on Shavuos inside the Beis Hamikdash. Okay, so that's our introductory sugya, and we will look at basically what the nature of Shtei Halechem is, what role do the lambs play, and the different opinions that we saw in the Mishnah about things that are ma'akev each other. Okay, shalom.